What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sincere here, back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for August 30th, 2019's reset. So let's see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, we're going to head over to the base operations. And here, the weapons vendor has a custom M44 with a gear score of 281. It has 156% headshot damage, and the talents it has is competent, disciplined, and ferocious. And then also here we have a prototype firearms mod with 262 firearms and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. Okay, so for our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the weapons vendor here at the front has a Model 700 with a gear score of 259. It has 150% headshot damage, and the talents it has is trained, competent, and elevated. And then also here we have a reflex sight with 7% crit hit chance, 2.50% stability, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the gear vendor here at the front has a prototype performance mod with 4% sticky bomb damage. Okay, so for our next gear items, we're going to head over to the advanced weaponry vendor. We're still at the base operations, and here we have a police T821 with a gear score of 281. It has 21% crit hit chance, and the talents it has is predatory, deadly, and destructive. I think it's a straight little PvE weapon if you ain't got nothing better than a house, and you don't mind using this weapon with its slow RPM. Also here we got a police M4 with a gear score of 263. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is brutal, prepared, and fierce. Also here we got a tyrant suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 2% accuracy, and 6% headshot damage. And then also here we got a small red grip with 17% crit hit damage, 2% accuracy, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and you want to head to the special equipment vendor. And here we have a Liberator with a gear score of 270. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is self-preserved, deadly, and dominant. Also here we got a custom P416G3 with a gear score of 263. It has 18% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is prepared, ferocious, and adept. Also here we got a Marine Super 90 with a gear score of 281. It has 340.50% stagger, and the talents it has is responsive, dominant, and sustained. Also here we have a military MK46 with a gear score of 274. It has 19% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is meticulous, ferocious, and sustained. Also here we have an operator's mask with the talent tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 891. This roll for stamina 1252, and the attributes it has is all resistance and blind death resistance. Also here we have a prototype electronics mod with 256 electronics and 3,286 skill power. Also here we have a prototype performance mod with 7% ballistic shield health. Also here we have an extended magazine with 118% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 4.70% rate of fire. Also here we have an Omega Rifle Suppressor Tan with 18% headshot damage, 2.50% stability, and 4.50% optimal range. Also here we got a Vertical Grip FDE with 48.50% optimal range, 4% crit hit damage, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Kerman Station. And here the weapons vendor has a Huntington M44 with a gear score of 276. It has 156 headshot damage, and the talents it has is prepared, unforgiving, and determined. For our next gear items, we're going to head to Camp Clinton. And here the special equipment vendor has a pecan for those that like to run this. It has a gear score of 273. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is deadly, predatory, and the talent pecan you already know. Also here we have an historian with a gear score of 276. It has 164% headshot damage, and the talents it has is vicious, balanced, and you already know the third talent, historian repeats, history repeats. Also here we have a police UMP 45 with a gear score of 265. It has 19% headshot damage, and the talents it has is responsive, talented, and ambusher. Also here we have a black market AK-47 with a gear score of 283. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is focused, accurate, and responsive. Also here we got a tactical SASG 12K with a gear score of 283. It has 331% stagger, and the talents it has is responsive, swift, and adept. Also here we got a classic RPK 74 with a gear score of 268. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is capable, brutal, and deadly. Also here we got a tactical vest with the talent rapid on there with a gear score of 272. It has 1954 armor. Its roll for stamina 1129, and the attributes it has is skill haste, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. Also here we have a prototype performance mod with 7% support station range. For our next gear items, we're going to head to Dante's Run. And here the gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent Tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 273. It has 972 armor. Its roll for firearms 1139. And the attributes this has is health, on kill, and burn resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head to Autumn's Hope. And here the gear vendor has some operator gloves with the talent Savaged on there with a gear score of 271. It has 894 armor. Its roll for stamina 1193. And the attributes it has is skill haste, crit hit damage, and enemy armor damage. And then also here we have a prototype performance mod with 4.50% ballistic shield damage resilience. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Madison's stand. And here the gear vendor has a tactical vest with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 273. It has 1910 armor. Its roll for electronics 1194. And the attributes it has is exotic damage resilience, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the last call. And here the gear vendor has a rugged mini reflex sight with 8% crit hit chance. I think that's kind of rare. I think I have a muzzle with 8% crit hit chance on it, and I got that a long time ago out of the DZ. But also it has 6% headshot damage and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Southpaw. And for those guys that love to run the smart cover, this gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 2.50% smart cover damage resilience. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Grindhouse. And here the weapons vendor has an extended magazine with 117.50% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 2.50% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Crypt. And here the weapons vendor has an extended magazine with 120.50% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 4% reload speed. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 39th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 273. It has 950 armor. Its roll for electronics 1222. And the attributes it has is health on kill and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 46th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype performance mod with 5.50% first aid ally heal. And then also here we got another extended magazine. This particular one has 119% magazine size, 4.50% reload speed, and 5.50% rate of fire. For our next gear items, we're going to head to East 64th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. In here, the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 262 stamina, and it has 2.50% exotic damage resilience. And then also here we have a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self heal. For our next gear items, we're going to head to East 61st Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a Tyrant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 4% crit hit damage, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 58th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent refreshed on there. We got another one. This particular one has a gear score of 276. It has 975 armor. Its roll for stamina 1205. And the attributes it has is skill power and blind death resistance. And then also here we got a gunslinger's vest with the talent vigorous on there. Got another one. This particular one has a gear score of 263. It has 1717 armor. Its roll for firearms, 1193. And the attributes it has is health on kill, skill haste, and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. And here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a military P416 with a gear score of 277. It has 20% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is prepared, vicious, and capable. And then also here we have an M870 Express with a gear score of 275. It has 346 stagger, and the talents it has is Unforgiven, Destructive, and Brutal. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 53rd Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical mask. We got another one with the talent Tenacious on there. This particular one has a gear score of 279. It has 971 armor. This roll for stamina 1236. And the attributes it has is crit chance and increased kill XP. And then also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4% Seeker Mind damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 46th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here we have the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical mask with the talent refreshed on there. We got another one. This particular one has a gear score of 267. It has 875 armor. Its roll for electronics 1181. And the attributes it has is crit chance and blind death resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 42nd Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a converted SMG 9A2. I figured I'd mention this. This ain't nothing I never really ran, but if you like to run this weapon, this one has a nice little roll on it. This particular one has a gear score of 263. It has 19% crit hit chance, and the talents it has is vicious, competent, and determined. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 40th Street checkpoint in the Dark Zone. And here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 264 electronics and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ2 safe room. And here we got a Spec Ops mask, another mask with refreshed on there. I figured I'd mention this one though because it's in here with something else. This one has a gear score of 272. It has 880 armor. Its roll for electronics 1222. And attributes it has is all resistance and damage to elites. And then also here we have a Spec Ops pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 269. It has 1170 armor. Its roll for firearms 1223. And the attributes it has is skill power and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ3 safe room. And here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a lightweight M4 with a gear score of 275. It has 21% enemy armor damage. And the talents it has is Swift, Talented, and Destructive. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ4 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 264 stamina and 2,840 health. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ5 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a heavy magazine spring with 4% crit hit damage, 11.50% magazine size, and 11.20% rate of fire. Also here we got a Omega rifle suppressor with 17.50% headshot damage, 2.50% stability, and 4% crit hit damage. And then also here we have a VX1 scope times 12 with 18% headshot damage, 4.50% optimal range, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ8 Safe Room. And here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a tactical vest with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 273. It has 1982 armor. Its roll for firearms 1134. And attributes it has is health on kill, skill haste, and increased kill XP. And then also here we have a Spec Ops pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 266. It has 1203 armor. Its roll for electronics 1134. And attributes it has is stability and ammo capacity. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for August 30th, 2019. I want to thank everybody who tuned into it. Hope you were able to find something that you needed and hope this video is helping you out. I want to thank everybody also too who's checking me out on Twitch. Thank you for that support. Also, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know any of your thoughts or anything. I appreciate that. And just again, thank you for all the support and all the comments. And I'll see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care. Peace.